Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, ECOWAS gives Niger junta 1 week ultimatum to reinstate ousted President Bazoum or face military action. Looting spray in Adamawa as Governor Fintri imposes curfew. Bandits kill Izala leader, abduct several farmers in Kaduna. And on the foreign scene, Senegal's Usman Sonko charged with fomenting insurrection. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Abdurrahman Umar. Thanks for joining. Heads of West African countries have resolved not to recognize any leader other than Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum, who has been held hostage by members of his presidential guard who seized power last week. The leaders reached the resolution on Sunday after an extraordinary summit of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. The ECOWAS leaders also insisted that if constitutional government was not restored in Niger in the next 1 week, they will use all means necessary to effect change to status quo, including force. Kende Amadou reports.
9 ECOWAS leaders and representatives of presidents of Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Cape Verde met on Sunday in Abuja to take a tough stance. The stance is, of course, informed by self-preservation, as clearly captured by the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government.
The danger to us right now is the fact that one of us, His Excellency Mohamed Bazoum, is imposed by his own army. The presidential guard of the calamity. It's an assault on everyone, of course.
ECOWAS is giving the coup plotters in Niger 7 days to restore constitutional order, after which it will impose sanctions if they fail to comply.
In the event the authorities' demands are not met within 1 week, take all measures necessary to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. Such measures may include the use of force. To this effect, the chiefs of defense staff of ECOWAS are to meet immediately.
The West African body is also imposing economic sanctions, which include freezing of Nigerian accounts in West African countries, freezing of assets of the major players in the coup, and suspension of aid and economic partnerships with Niger.
In the meantime, the following measures are to be applied with immediate effect. 1. Closure of land and air borders between ECOWAS countries and Niger. 2. Institution of ECOWAS no-fly zone on all commercial flights to and from Niger. Suspension of all commercial and financial transactions between ECOWAS member states and Niger. Freeze all service transactions, including energy transactions.
In the interim, West African leaders are rejecting any resignation from the detained president and are demanding that the welfare of President Bazoum and his family must remain a top priority. The West African body is sounding tough, but the success of its demands will depend on the interplay of international politics going on in Niger. From the ECOWAS Extraordinary Summit in Abuja, Kende Amadou, Trust TV News.
In the meantime, normalcy has returned to Yola, Adamawa State capital, after suspected hoodlums broke into warehouses looting food and non-food items. Police operatives drawn from the Department of Operations, Mopol 14 State CID, Crack Squad and sister security agencies have been deployed to enforce 24-hour curfew imposed by the state government. Silas Lawan has the rest of the details.
It is not a normal day for the residents of Adamawa as they wake up with the disturbing looting spread by hoodlums who attack people with matches, breaking into business premises, cutting away properties they call palliatives. The hoodlums broke into some government stores to loot food items, claiming they were hungry. The development is not unconnected with the rising cost of living and the hardship many residents are facing following higher fuel price, foodstuff, transportation fares, among others.
Warehouses were break, foodstuffs cutted away. This is a double hardship for us.
We're seriously in trouble. Look at what these youth have done. It is actually uncalled for. But government also need to wake up and assist the masses.
The enforcement of the curfew will help curtail the whole issue from worsening. But seriously, government needs help by providing a solution to the current hardship. Prices of fuel, foodstuffs, transport have all gone up.
Governor Ahmadu Umar Fintri, in a statement, appealed to the residents of the state to comply with the 24-hour curfew, adding that any person found contravening the order will be arrested and made to face the wrath of the law. Silas Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
The Zonal Coordinator NEMA Officer Kaduna Abani Imam Garki stated that they have been directed to contact all stakeholders, including Nigerian Police, Nigerian Army and DSS, to avert what happened in Adamawa State. The coordinator said the disaster risk unit, those which involve all security agencies collaborating with NEMA, have been alerted. He said NEMA contacted the divisional police officers, DPOs, where its warehouses are located, to be on alert. Abani Imam emphasized that they are monitoring the situation locally and will immediately inform relevant stakeholders if there is any news to share. Regarding the distribution of palliatives to Kaduna citizens, the coordinator could not provide a specific date, but assured that if there is any communication from headquarters, he will inform the stakeholders accordingly. The Yobe State government, through the State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, said no any palliative from the federal government or Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, is received yet, as earlier promised. Executive Secretary of the agency, Dr. Muhammad Goji, confirmed this to Daily Trust correspondent in Damaturu, the state capital of Yobe. He said the state government has distributed food items and grains to 500 persons with disabilities meant to cushion the hardship in the Damaturu local government area last week, Wednesday, following the removal of the petrol subsidy as well as the hike in fuel price. Commenting on the federal government palliatives, Dr. Goji said the process has been initiated by the federal government, adding that Yobe State will commence distribution as soon as it gets the palliatives. Meanwhile, the International Organization for Migration has warned that 4.2 million Nigerians are at risk of displacement as the annual rainy season intensifies in 2023. This prediction is part of the IOM's 2023 Nigeria Response Overview Disaster Preparedness Plan, issued in response to the country's growing threat of climate-induced disaster. According to the report, an estimated $20 million will be needed to scale the most vulnerable populations against the inevitable floods through shelter and relocation efforts from May to October. The National Emergency Management Agency said the 2022 to a flood disaster, the worst in over 40 years, displaced nearly 2.3 million people, killed 363 and destroyed or damaged about 597,476 houses in October 2022. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development revealed that floods displaced over 1.4 million people, killed over 603 persons and injured more than 2,400 persons. Also, over 82,035 houses were damaged with 67,000 hectares of farmlands affected. Meanwhile, the mass retirement of generals in the Nigerian armed forces by President Bola Tinubu has continued to generate reactions from different quarters. A retired military officer and a veteran in Kaduna said though the retirement in the Nigerian armed forces is inevitable, but cautioned against politicizing the process. The report.
The annual campaign for the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons 2023 aims at raising awareness against the disturbing trend identified by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes, with calls on government, law enforcement, civil society and other stakeholders to enhance preventive measures and support the victims. According to advocates, the trend is alarming and poses threat to society. The appointment of the new service chiefs by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu after assuming office on May 29 and the retirement of 100 generals in the Nigerian Army, air vice marshals in the Air Force and admirals in the Nigerian Navy. The move overheated the polity, with security experts and commentators expressing their different views on the mandatory retirement of officers. According to Major Bashir Galma retired, the mass retirement of the high-ranking officers will not have any effect on the armed forces and the current fight against insurgents.
It doesn't have any serious effect as people have been portraying it to be. You understand me? These generals that have been retired were not there to be there forever. There is always a group of people coming up to replace them. They also replace some people. The people that got retired and the people that are there now, they are all but the same people. They are trained in the same place. They had the same training and they know all about the same problem. They have been on the same problem. That's the country's insecurity problem.
For the veteran and security expert Dr. Awal Abdullahi, though the retirement is inevitable but should be done with caution, as military is the most organized and disciplined institution in the country.
But if the person is not up to 60 years, let's say a general is not up to 60 years, and his years of service is also not up to 35 years, and is being retired, that is what is perceived as a political retirement. It is being retired on a political reason, unless if it is for disciplinary reason. If the general has an issue or an officer has an issue that is being retired on a disciplinary ground, but just for political ground, that is where the issue is. But like I said, there are terms and conditions of service. So once either of the two of the terms and conditions of service is being fulfilled, naturally, there must be retirement. And
while people attribute the mass retirement as being politically motivated, experts caution leaders and Nigerians against attaching sentiments.
We should allow the military to do its things. Military, all this uniform organization, all this security something, let them do their things accordingly. We should keep off it. What we don't know or what other people want us, or they want to use us to start talking about, to satisfy their ego or to think that they can cause panic in the country, should be avoided.
According to them, one of the ways to boost the morale of both serving and retired men and officers of the Nigerian military is to take care of their welfare and other packages. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
The Birnungwari Emirate Progressives Union Bipo has disclosed the death of the vice chairman of Jama'atul Izalatul Bid'ah wa Iqamatus Sunnah Jibwis Birnungwari branch, Malam Yakubu Muhammad Bugay, and 3 other farmers who were killed by rampaging bandits who have been unleashing terror in the area, with over 50 persons kidnapped in July alone. The Jibwis leader was shot on Wednesday at his farm located around Rema area and was later evaluated and taken to Jibril Maigwari General Hospital after sustaining gunshot wounds on his abdomen and arm, but passed on by 7:30 a.m. on Thursday. Until his murder, Malam Bugay was a strong pillar, pioneer member, and also the vice chairman of the Birnungwari Opens Foundation, which is an organization devoted to taking care of thousands of orphans left behind by mostly victims of banditry in the security-ravaged local government. A statement issued by the Bipo chairman Ishaq Usman Kasai further disclosed that in another sad development around Sabalai, Kurigi, Yelwa, Tashinkiji, Shuaka, Unguan, Fulani, and many more rural communities in western part of Birnungwari are sharing boundaries with Kamuku and Kuyambana forest, which are serving as hides out of the bandits. A large number of locals were also kidnapped on their farms. President Bola Tinubu has appointed a special investigator to probe the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and related entities. The president named Jim Osayande Obazi, the Chief Executive Officer, Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, FRCN, as the investigator. The president, in a letter cited by Daily Trust, asked the special investigator to investigate CBN and key government business entities. He also directed Obazi to report directly to his office. The president also sent a copy of his directive suspending Godwin Emefiele as governor of the CBN on June 9th. Emefiele has been in DSS custody since then. He was arraigned in court last week and granted bail, but the secret police rearrested him. You're watching the Trust TV News Hour. Coming off after the break, we take a look at the idea behind naming towns. Details of this and more after the break. Do stay with us.
Sounds like you're disappointed with the current lot.
We are outside, me and you. Regardless, we could have done better.
That you don't have to sacrifice your conviction. We cannot settle for what is bad.
I sacked a governor because of misappropriating 300,000 naira.
The clamor by the SCS was a unitary form of government. This doesn't go well with Savannah. So when we said we wanted self-government for Nigerian entities, so you count me out.
What you call goal, aims and directives. But the issue of joining politics simply because you want to be given job or to be given contract.
Removing the assumptions, the foundations of their theories, and at the end of it, each and every one of them simply surprised.
I was posted to Guachuku. My job was to go from community to community, educating the people how to improve themselves. Government will come to help you.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the News Hour on Trust TV, and here is the recap of some of our top stories. ECOWAS gives Niger junta 1 week ultimatum to reinstate ousted President Bazoum or face military action. A looting spray in Adamawa as Governor Fintiri imposes curfew. Moving on to other stories. A political associate of Ali Party, Idris Muhammad Serikinyagi, says the choice of Ali Party by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as one of the 28 nominees for confirmation as minister is a plus to the state and the country at large. He stated this in Bauchi while interacting with journalists. Trust TV's Adamu Imam sent in the report.
Ali Party, a one-time Minister of State for the Health Ministry from Bauchi Central Senatorial District, was nominated for ministerial appointment by President Tinubu alongside 27 others. According to his allies, he is a man of integrity and a game changer that Nigeria can be proud of. This type of people is what Nigeria needs to serve them because of his pedigree in global space, especially in the area of health sector. I am optimistic Ali Party can deliver. He cannot allow mistrust and corrupt practices and will not lose focus to people's mandate. He will not shy away with his responsibility. I affirm that Nigerians will not be disappointed with Ali Party as minister. We have confidence in him. He also maintained that Ali Party's trustworthiness accorded him advantage over many politicians for the entrenchment of democracy not only in his constituency but Nigeria in general. Where he comes from, all over they knew him throughout the world. They always approach him for his contribution. They know his caliber and wealth of experience in health-related issues. Some of his associates are leaders of the world. They are always proud to associate with him. Many countries are willing to be closer to him. They knew what he can contribute. Had it been he went to serve his pocket, he wouldn't have accepted Tinubu's ministerial nomination as minister. Mohammed, who noted that President Bola Tinubu has made a good decision to pick Ali Party to serve the country once again, assured Nigerians that he is a person that can be relied on to protect public interest. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
As the world marks the 2023 World Day Against Traffic in Persons, stakeholders express worry over high rate of the trafficking, which they say poses great danger to human development in Nigeria. They say containing the menace requires holistic and collective approach by the authorities, communities, and the society. Trust TV's Bella Musa has more.
The annual campaign for the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons 2023 aims at raising awareness against the disturbing trend identified by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes, with calls on government, law enforcement, civil society, and other stakeholders to enhance preventive measures and support the victims. According to advocate, the trend is alarming and poses threat to society.
If you went through the town, you will find out that that's trend is highly deteriorating. It's not something that is usually done. Every day you are seeing new faces, and not all of the parents or even some of the exploiters know that what they are participating is human trafficking, because human trafficking is in different forms, and child labor or forced labor sometimes is one of the forms of human trafficking. So especially here in the north, human trafficking is surely on the rise.
Lack of awareness, leaving identified groups vulnerable to traffickers, failing to support victims are some of the factors contributing to the rise of human trafficking in the north.
There is lack of awareness, sincerely, because not all parents even understand what is trafficking. And the children or the victims or survivors of the trafficking itself, not all of them knew that they are part of a human trafficking ring. And secondly, there is lack of education. And there is always greed for material wealth, which is one of the major causes of trafficking. In the context of global increasement of the human trafficking itself, we can say that there is a need for greener pastures which usually leads to people leaving their country and be fell victims of trafficking or what we call modern slavery.
Climate change, displacement of people due to conflict, and socio-economic inequalities are escalating trafficking risks in the north and the world at large. Therefore, advocates believe that despite its great danger, it can be tackled, but with commitment and collective effort.
They need to sensitize people to know much about how are they going to tackle these issues of human trafficking, because it's a great danger to our development. It's a great danger to the development of the country and at large. And it's limited people's IQ, it limited people's development.
Yeah, human trafficking is one of the most lucrative business and most lucrative illegal business in the country, not even in the country, but in the world. Because according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes Report 2021, it was said that human trafficking generated a revenue of over $20 billion.
World Day Against Trafficking in Persons is held on 30th July. The theme of the 2023 World Day Against Trafficking in Persons is Reach Every Victim of Trafficking, Leave No One Behind. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Indigenes of Ewu in Osun State say land grabbers have invaded their farmlands, prevented them from farming and victimized them. During a peaceful protest in Ewu, the farmers said some of them lost their lives because of the victimization by the land grabbers. They called on Osun State government to intervene in the matter. Hamid Oyebade files the report.
Residents say land grabbing is a serious issue that affects their environment, economy, social welfare, and human rights. The Alakoko family of Agidi Fesu in Iwoland, Osun State, are grappling with this challenge. The family members alleged that the traditional ruler Onigege of Igege, Oba Kazim Adio, was selling their ancestral farmland to real estate developers. The traditional ruler sold from the land on the 3rd of July and issued receipts to the buyers. We told him to bring evidence to support his claim of ownership, but he could not provide any. The court restrained Kazim Adio and Agidi family from entering the farmland. Yet, Kazim is still selling the land. We could not go to the farm. They have destroyed our crops. The traditional ruler was not in his palace when Trust TV visited the town. In a telephone conversation, the traditional ruler said the land belongs to him. They sold my land and I dragged them to the court in Ogbagba. After that, they came with 40 motorcycles with petrol to burn down my palace. They went to the police area commander and Oluwo's palace to seek permission. You can find out. Another farmer in the town said Alakoko family of Agidi Fesu are the true owner of the land. When I was young, the farmers that we know in that farm include Baba Rahimi and Baba Eleshin. I worked for them at Foro Farm along Ogbagba. At the other side are Baba Sifawu and the man from Emulu compound. A timely intervention of the state government and security agencies is necessary to address the issue before it degenerates further. Hamid Oyebade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
Over time, certain names have been known to grace more than one street in several states across the country. States like Katsina, Kano, Kaduna, Sokoto, and places like Zaria, Jere, Jos, Birnin Gwari, and many more have streets that bear similar names like Tudunwada and Sabongari. The uniqueness in this phenomenon is what prompted Bitrus Guresi, who found two communities with same name in Maiduguri. Let's take a look.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State, is the largest city in northeastern Nigeria. The metropolis has 15 wards made up of different communities. Interestingly, some of these communities bear similar names like Tudunwada and Sabongari, which are also in some parts of Nigeria like Kano, Katsina, Sokoto, Zaria, Jos, and Birnin Gwari. However, Tudunwada in Maiduguri has already been renamed to Abubakar Umar Garbai layout by the state government. Before now, the first settlers among them was an Islamic scholar and a businessman who named the community Tudunwada.
Ce Hausawa ne suke zaune a nan mu muka zo muka same su wani malami Allah ji kanshi Malam Muhammadu mai rasuwa.
The Hausawas were the first people that resided here. The first man, late Malam Muhammadu, that stayed here is from Kano. When he came here, he liked the name Tudunwada because there is also a place called Tudunwada in Kano. So he decided to name this place Tudunwada.
Tudunwada is very perfect than Abubakar Umar Garbai or Abubakar Umar Garbai.
Another residential area, Sabongari, meaning new area, was given the name because the capital was experiencing an influx of people and needed expansion. The first settlers were Kanuri, who formerly called it Unguru Kareye.
Sai aka sa Sabongari, kamar ma'ana su Hausari, ka san da Hausa aka sa suna Hausari, amma bare-bare ne.
The majority of people that first settled here were the Hausawas. As of then, houses were not up to 10. The Kanuri people called this place Unguru Kareye, meaning bush area. It was later that the place started developing. People were buying lands and building houses. It was even farming and business that attracted people to Sabongari.
Sabongari ma'ana kamar sabon anguwa. Da aka zo aka share da aka bude kaga yanzu anguwa akwai Sabongari.
Sabongari means new area. It became a new resettlement area because it's very big. So it was divided area by area. We have Sabongari, we have Sabonline, Zango, Gwange Zango, and others. Many tribes live here like Kanuri, Barberi, Margi, Yoruba too. Names of towns or communities define cultural harmonization that brings together different ethnic groups through civilization. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Traditional music and dances are not just meant for entertainment. Kolki traditional dance group from southern part of Gombe State represents bravery. The Tangale dancers are believed to have defeated some warriors who attacked their ancestral home in the olden days. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
This is the sight and sound of the Kolki dances. The music and dance are of Tangle origin, but the costumes are said to have been taken over from Hausa warriors who were defeated by the Tangle people. We were victorious in a war and impounded the costume of the attackers. We adopted the dress and initiated the Kolki dance, meaning we won against the enemies. These energetic people are motivated by a strong desire to preserve their cultural heritage for the upcoming generation. I have been wearing these costumes for almost 15 years, since each item cost 200 naira only, but now a single material costs 10,000 naira. experts say many cultural traditions risk extinction and Kolki dances are also likely to be affected. The costumes are very expensive. Only this cap cost 30,000 naira. But Kaltingo Traditional Council is on a mission to preserve the culture amid multiple challenges.
There is the dance of the warriors, which is very famous. That's the Kolki by the Tangale of Kaltungo and Shongo. Then there is the Kangpe, there is those from Filia and others. So actually people celebrate the cultural dances when there is something joyful, maybe after the harvest or a great man achieves something or function like this.
Kolki dancers now call for intervention from the state government to preserve their heritage. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
The Rivers State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has arrested 12 suspects for their involvement in vandalism, oil theft, and illegal dealings in petroleum products. According to the command, the arrest is part of efforts geared toward curtailing oil theft, pipeline vandalism, and other crimes in the state. The report.
Addressing newsmen during the parading of suspects at command headquarters in the state, the commandant, Basil Igubeze, said the fight against oil bunkering activities in Rivers State is not negotiable. Hence, economic saboteurs are either to desist from such heinous acts or face the full wrath of the law. Commandant Basil said he is determined to fight the menace of illegal oil bunkering activities, which over time has led to environmental degradation, pollution of land, aquatic life, and health hazards.
The prosecution of the court's mandate of combating pipeline vandalism and all the other aspects that threaten the critical national assets of the country, the Corps in Rivers State Command has made the following progress. 12 suspects have been arrested from different locations across the state and are hereby paraded for their involvement in pipeline vandalism, illegal dealing in petroleum products, and allied matters. The command's anti-vandal unit has impounded so far 5 vehicles, a bus with 36,950 liters of AGO and 51,225 liters of crude oil. This is in affirmation of the fact that there has been a change of pattern in the state and it is no longer business as usual. Commandant
NSCDC, Rivers State, Commandant Basil further revealed that based on sustained intelligence, the anti-vandal squad made an arrest at Okei Ungo Pala Road, Eche Azix, a grey Toyota Camry laden with 2,000 liters of AGO in sacks, while the suspect took to the hills upon sighting the anti-vandal squad. He warned the anti-vandal marine personnel to desist from any action that could smear the image of NSCDC, noting that the CG is also ready to motivate and reward diligent and dedicated officers.
Henceforth, every person or any criminal involved in anything that threatens the economic reality of the country by way of vandalism of any critical national asset will be made to bear the brunt of the law. Any personnel caught in aiding and abetting oil thieves or illegality in the waters would be dealt with according to extant regulations and law. The command will continue to synergize with relevant state agencies to combat oil theft in Rivers State particularly. Investigations are ongoing and into the cases of the arrests made, and you will be appropriately briefed or informed on the status of the cases in due course. All vandals or thieves are either to stop the activities or relocate as a default alternative to other areas where their activities can be welcomed.
Rivers State Commandant NSCDC, the command herdsmen, further solicited for more credible intelligence from the public that will lead to arrest of unrepentant vandals and oil thieves in the state.
Nigerians have unique taste for shoes and preference of attires to depict their cultural orientation, often mixing modernity with tradition. Ibrahim Ismail speaks to shoemakers, fashion designers, and residents in Gombe State on shoe preference and clothing. Take a look.
Nigerians have options on shoes to wear, from half shoes to sandals and other varieties. These preferences depend on individual style or costume.
At times, I prefer half shoe, more especially when I wear a half jumper, because half shoe is, I always feel comfortable when I wear it, especially in a hot season. In hot season, I don't want to wear cover shoe.
I prefer using a black shoe, whether half shoe or black shoe, because it is a general color that matches almost every clothes. That's my favorite shoe, whether sandal or complete shoe.
Although there are people who wear shoes based on their choices, shoemakers in Kaltungo, Gombe State say some choices can be attributed to individuals' purchasing power. If you wear a Hausa native jumper, the right shoe to use is sandal, half shoe, not cover shoe. We create special half shoe for the youngsters. They use it with jeans trousers. There are demands for school sandals, half shoe for both men and women. We make them for our clients. While most people wear shoes according to cloth style, a fashion designer believes there are more factors to be considered. A Hausa native jumper can match a half shoe or a cover shoe. Depending on the outfit style, you can also consider the color of your shoe to match your cap if you wear a babariga. Despite available guidelines that suggest shoes and suitable outfits, millions of Nigerians dress according to their style. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
This is Trust News Hour. We will be back after this break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Now, earlier on, we told you that heads of West African countries have resolved not to recognize any leader other than Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum, who has been held hostage by members of his presidential guard who seized power last week. Joining me via phone call is Professor Usman Mohammed, HOD Political Science and International Relations, Best University. Thank you for joining, Prof.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Prof, what would you say are the implications of the ECOWAS stance, seeing that the junta in Niger has already warned against interference in the country's internal affairs?
Well, I think the doctrine of internal affairs doesn't much stand the test of time. I think they will be taken aback when the forces are resolved. But before they are resolved, This is the first time that the ECOWAS have resolved very well, overwhelmingly, to deal with this issue of coup in Africa, in West Africa. Probably because they have seen it like a bushfire effect. Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea Conakry, and then latest Nigeria's contagious neighbor. Unfortunately for them, the founder of ECOWAS cannot stand to see this bushfire effect going around it. So I think that President Tinubu is resolved over this because it's a big threat, not only to Nigeria, but to West African countries that are meeting always to see that they improve the quality of democratic project in their countries.
But do you think that ECOWAS can impose the sanctions it has imposed?
Well, yes. It will be easy because they have the backing of the United Nations. They have the backing of some international communities that we have seen soon after the soldiers have struck on the issue of the coup. And they will increase visibility in terms of the pressure. That is all they need to have to do. Increase visibility on pressure and keep on the propaganda and discredit them. And once that is done and is heightened by the media, local media, and is internationalized, then definitely they will shift ground. They will shift ground. But what is really needed now is pragmatism, because they have issued a threat. And once they can redeem that threat, even if it is once, if the ECOWAS can send forces and then the coup plotters can redeem their pledge, the threat they have given, then definitely strategies have to be taken. Other approaches need to be taken. But before we waste resources and men on this project, diplomacy needs to work very well first.
All right, Professor Usman Mohammed, HOD Political Science and International Relations, Bez University. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You're welcome.
And now away from Nigeria, Senegal's opposition leader Ousmane Sonko has been charged with plotting an insurrection and other new offences. The new charges follow the detention of Sonko, who has been serving his sentence at home for questioning at a police court in the Senegalese capital, Dakar, on Friday. He remains in custody. Abdul Karim Diop, Senegal's public prosecutor, told reporters the new charges stem from comments Sonko made and rallies he held, as well as other episodes since 2021, including an incident at his home before his arrest on Friday. In addition to fomenting insurrection, the new charges include undermining state security, acts aimed at jeopardizing public security and creating serious political arrest, criminal association with a terrorist body, and theft. There was no immediate comments from Sonko's legal team. Still on the international scene, at least 40 people have been killed after a powerful bomb ripped through a political rally in northwestern Pakistan. The blast took place on Sunday at a gathering of the conservative Jamiat Ulama al-Islam (JUB) party on the outskirts of Kar in Pakistan's northwestern Bajour district, which borders Afghanistan. District Police Officer Nazir Khan said 40 people were killed and more than 130 injured. Riaz Anwar, the health minister for Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, said 44 people have been confirmed killed and over 100 wounded. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack, but local authorities said the explosion was caused by a suicide bomb. Senior police officer Nazir Khan said the Jobs Workers' Convention was underway when the explosion took place. Akhtar Hayat Gandafor, the Inspector General of Police Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, said senior party leader Maulana Fazlou Rahman was not at the event when the explosion took place. The Danish government will try to find legal means that will enable authorities to prevent the burning of copies of the Quran in front of other countries' embassies in Denmark. Denmark and Sweden have found themselves in the international spotlight in recent weeks following protests where the Quran, the Islamic holy book, has been damaged or burned. In a separate statement on Sunday, Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson said he had been in close contact with his Danish counterpart, Mette Frederiksen, and that a similar process was already underway in Sweden. And now sports news. Kano, like many bustling cities, has long been grappling with the issue of drug abuse among its youth. Local organizations in the state decide to promote healthy activities that can steer youth away from the harmful effects of drug abuse and other social vices. In this report, Trust TV's Abdulaziz Ibrahim tells us how concerned citizens in Kano State have come together to promote sports as an alternative to social vices among youth. His report.
A report by the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime in Nigeria indicates that 14.4% of people aged between 15 and 64 years abuse drugs. Sports events like this competition, organized by Alice Gombwa Memorial Foundation in Kano State, attempts to bring a positive change. The aim is to serve as a beacon of hope for some young individuals struggling with social vices such as drug addiction.
A lot of these guys have the chance to be professionals. A lot of them have the chance to get university scholarship to go to schools and study. And then it helps us in curbing the menace of social vices. And so there are so many good things about sports. And I think bringing this kind of championship here is a great service done to Kano generally.
Even my team, there's one mother, he sent her son, he's a drug addict. But now since I combined to my team, now he has no even take any drug. Now he combined to a very good somebody. So this is very important.
Regular non-league basketball competitions like this one provide young players with a positive focus, thus keeping them away from several negative influences.
When we capture their attention, that's when we start to preach for peace, preach for violence and all that, no cultism, say no to rapes and all that, That's how we capture them, But first, you can't just see a kid on the street and start to call them, hey, come, you have to do this. You have to attract him or her from something before you get their attention and all that.
It's really encouraging to the young players, and the words, the encouragement the organizer gave to the players, you should always add sports with education.
These delighted young players say the love for the game has saved them from hanging out with the wrong crowd and getting involved in drugs.
I just thank God for basketball. It has given me a good life because I know the circle of friends I was dealing with before, and I just thank God that I play basketball because I know that if I was not playing basketball, I would have been in the streets, maybe into fraud or doing drugs or I don't know, but I know that my life wouldn't have been this good.
I'm advising all of the youths entirely let them say no to drugs because it affects the youth and it affects the future.
With the support of local authorities in Kano State, it is believed that sustaining sports engagements will help more young people dribble their way towards a brighter future. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News.
Saudi Arabia Professional League club Napoli have reportedly submitted an offer for Napoli striker Victor Osimhen. The Blue Waves recently showed interest in Paris Saint-Germain star Kylian Mbappe, but the Frenchman is not keen on the move. Al Hilal have now been forced to switch targets after Mbappe refused to open talks. Recent rumors suggested that Al Hilal have switched focus to Osimhen, who was the star of Napoli's Saturday winning campaign last season, netting 26 goals in 32 league games. According to TMW, the club submitted a bid around €130 million for Osimhen, an offer that was swiftly rejected by Napoli. The Partenope do not want to sell the Nigerian striker this summer and are currently working on tying him down to a new long-term contract. He is valued at around €200 million. Meanwhile, Super Falcons captain Onomi Ebi said the Super Falcons won't underrate Ireland in their last group match on Monday. It will be a clash of teams with contrasting fortunes as Nigeria faces Ireland in their final Group B match on Monday, while Nigeria's Super Falcons are looking forward to the knockout stage. Monday's match will be the end of the road for the already eliminated Ireland. Morocco defender Nohela Benzina has made history by becoming the first player to wear hijab at a World Cup. The 25-year-old wore the Islamic headscarf as she made her first appearance at the tournament in her side's 1-0 win over South Korea. The wearing of head coverings for religious reasons was authorized by FIFA in 2014. Morocco are one of 8 teams making their debut at this summer's Women's World Cup. Benzina, who plays her club football in Morocco, is the first player to wear a hijab at a senior women's international tournament. She was an unused substitute during her country's opening game against Germany, which they lost 6-0. And with that, we have come to the end of the Trust TV's News Hour. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and our YouTube live stream. I am Abdurrahman Umar. Thanks for watching and bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.